fantasy people? This is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and Jason, the lucky bastard Uthenwoldt, coming at you live from the West Coast.
Again.
And this is the Fantasy Footballin Show. Today's episode, we're going to go over some NFL players that were impacted by, last week's fantasy football draft. Not fantasy football draft, that's in August. Real life football draft. And so, they're sinkers and floaters, Sinkers are good, or sinkers are bad, floaters are good. If you go see your doctor and they're like, hey, man, did you get enough fiber? Is it sinking or floating? They'll be like, oh, floating. Well, that's good. You can also think about this being, floating up the draft boards. We're sinking down, down, down. So anyways, before we get into all this, Jason, could you please tell the public how they can help this show? Because we need it.
We need it. Yeah, we appreciate some subscribers. We got a little spoiled there for a second and kind of slowed down a little bit, and it's hitting us hard. It's hitting us in the chest. But you know what? We still love what we do. We love this. We appreciate the support that we do have. We are greedy, so if you get a little bit more, we appreciate it. The way you could do that, go to our channel and hit the subscribe button. Give us some likes on some videos. We love the likes. And give us some comments. If there's some stuff that you don't agree with or stuff that you think that are players that you think need to be added to the sinkers and floaters, let us know. We love the interaction with people. And if you want some more additional content, just head over to Instagram and find us at the Fantasy Footballin Show.
Thank you so much, Jason. That was very good. And I know that we've got a barbecue question of the week. Jason, you want to grill me like I'm a piece of meat? I'm not just a piece of meat. I'm a person. I'm a brain. I've got feelings and passions.
Yes. Thank you, Tyler. We are going to do the barbecue question of the week, where we answer the questions that you want to know. And this week's question is, which Jets wide receiver do you want to have on your fantasy football team since Aaron Rodgers is now their quarterback?
So we know that Aaron Rodgers is very willing to hyper-target a wide receiver, just like Davante Adams. He was actually just interviewed this last week, being like, because he was throwing around with Garrett Wilson, and he was like, oh my God, man, I threw a couple balls at this guy, and he was like, wow, I haven't seen this since Davante Adams. I looked him up, Davante Adams is a little bit heavier, but, they're an inch off. But apparently it's the route running that really grabbed Aaron Rodgers' attention. So we have the second-year wide receiver bump for Garrett Wilson, which is a big deal. It's a big deal. Everybody talks about it. Everybody. Where have you been? You didn't hear about that?
Yeah.
Anyways, also, Jason, speaking of hyper-targeted, he had 147 targets last year. That was seventh most in the NFL overall, right behind Jason Kelce. So that Matt LaFleur, or not Matt LaFleur, whatever, some LaFleur, a LaFleur out there wants to hyper-target this dude. And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, he's going to have to be the guy. Like, they have Lizard there. He was in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, but I don't really see him as a number one wide receiver. I see him more as like a role player. Of course, they brought him in just so like Aaron Rodgers would be comfortable with somebody. And then they also brought in Randall Cobb, like I think a day or two, they signed him. But I don't see much of anything happening with him. I think they just brought him in for comfortability and just like to help out maybe Garrett Wilson since he's a young wide receiver. But I did hear that he's breaking routes just like Davante Adams. And who did Aaron Rodgers love in Green Bay? Davante Adams. So Garrett Wilson, he's a spectacular player. We're going to just see him grow. Second year, I was there, so I heard it, the jump. And yeah, I would have to agree. This is a guy that you want to target in fantasy football when you're doing your draft. I want me some Garrett Wilson. Buckeye.
Also, Jason, he's going in the top of the third round right now. So I was talking about elite wide receivers not being there after the second round in 10 and even in 10-man leagues or whatever. But I'm bumping up Garrett Wilson to an elite wide receiver right now with Aaron Rodgers. And I'm going to put him over Jalen Waddle because I count Jalen Waddle as an elite wide receiver when Tua is playing. So I think that you might be able to get Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson at the end of the second round this year. And I would much prefer Garrett Wilson, and I think that's a decent pick.
I agree with that. I'm all for it. Can we get a little dinger?
All right, Jason.
What are we doing next?
Mama said, Mama said, Do you know who Freaky L is? Getting freaky, L. He gets a freaky
I don't know who.
Sunday nights, Thursday nights,
If you're saying
sometimes Tuesday nights.
is that a singer? Is that a real thing? Freaky L?
You never heard of Freaky getting? Well, no, Freaky L, dude, is what the teammates call Lamar Jackson.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought they would have called him like LL Cool J or something. He's always just so cool on the sidelines, man. He's got his shades on, his hair. I like his stance. Are we talking about? We're going over the winners right now with Lamar Jackson. Yep. So Lamar Jackson, this guy. Let's start him off. He's definitely a winner coming off of last season. This offseason has been great for him. They got the signing of Odell Beckham, so they gave him another weapon. And then he got his tax return, which was 5-year, $260 million, $72.5 million signing bonus with 185 guarantees, and he's going to average $52 million a year. Gosh dang. Gosh dang. I know. And then when they go to the draft, they got Zay Flowers, where me and Tyler, we were both big on Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a great pickup, a great additional weapon to that passing attack. With that being said, over the past 2 years, also with injuries, Lamar Jackson only has 33 passing touchdowns. And since 2018, when it was his NFL debut, he's only had one 1,000-yard receiver, which was Mark Andrews in 2021. So by signing Odell Beckham over, Odell Beckham Jr. has 56 receiving touchdowns. 18 of those are in the end zone. That dude, he's a playmaker, right? When he gets in the end zone, you got to keep an eye on him. So they're bringing another end zone threat to Lamar Jackson. And then Zay Flowers already, his combine score was 82. If you don't know who this guy is, just go watch the tape and you'll be amazed at this guy. He's going to be a big player in this NFL. So they're giving him more options to throw the ball. He's got to be the winner this year. He's got to be a winner. He's going to be a winner.
All right. Yeah, sure, Jason. Yeah, I like that real confidence, man. You should be a coach someday.
Hey. Hey.
Lamar Jackson, dude, he was the number one fantasy football quarterback for literally like the first month last month. For the first month of fantasy football. And, things happen. I mean, Bateman got injured, then Lamar got injured. Everybody gets injured. The Ravens had a very injury-prone last season. And let's just say everybody's healthy. They got Zay Flowers, who we compared to Antonio Bryant. I love Zay Flowers, dude. I wish the Vikings would have got Zay Flowers. A healthy Mark Andrews. Even Mark Andrews was injured last season. And what else, dude? I can't remember. But all I'm trying to say is that Lamar Jackson, at least, I think that. So, dude, I have a picture of it somewhere. But he at least is going to hold up his ADP this year. And his ceiling is higher than. I can't think of a higher ceiling for a quarterback. It's just, it never happens, except for his MVP year. Like, we saw a ceiling 1 year, and that could be like that. He was even killing that last season. People were talking about him as a fantasy MVP, for the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Jason. I'm like, Lamar Jackson. He's going to the bottom of the fifth right now. And I would much prefer to wait and get Trevor Lawrence or even Justin Herbert.
So even with the money that he got, the federal taxes, and then the additional weapons, you still want to wait a little bit? There's no changes in your rank?
No, I mean, it's just, dude, I have drafted Lamar Jackson. I think I drafted him right after his MVP season because I was like, I'm going to dominate the league, dude. I'm going to get Lamar Jackson and aerial assault. I'm going to get a good tight end. I was about tight end back in those days. And Lamar Jackson being injured, I forget who I had to turn to. I think I was even starting like John Kitna. I think I got Ryan Fitzpatrick that year to get me through a lot. But yeah, dude, I've been burned by Lamar Jackson before, and I just, that's all. So like, I understand the frustration with Lamar Jackson, but his ceiling is just ridiculously high.
If this guy could play a full season and not get injured, like at least he hasn't been able to finish the last 2 seasons. He could play a full season. This guy's going to put up numbers. I want to say it was like 2019. He put up 36 touchdowns. Then he dropped down to 26, then 16, then 17. If he stays healthy with the weapons that he has, he's going to get his rushing. He's going to get his rushing touchdowns. He's going to go back up to 30 passing touchdowns this year if he can stay healthy.
Jason, who was Leonard Fournette's little brother last year?
Rachaad White.
No. Rashaad.
What? Rachaad White. This guy is definitely, he's a winner this season, of course. He was a rookie last year. He was splitting carries with Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette is now gone, right? So he's not going to be splitting. So he's not going to be splitting carries with just about anybody, right? Well, maybe they draft somebody. So let's pay attention to the draft. They didn't draft no running back. They did sign an undrafted running back from Syracuse after the draft. But it looks like right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have one guy that they're going to really lean on in the running game and the passing game. The guy had 50 receptions last year. And then there was a game last year he had the bulk of the carries over Leonard Fournette. It was against Seattle. He had 22 carries and he rushed for 105 yards, averaging 4.8 yards a run. So Tom Brady's gone. They're not going to be throwing the ball 100 times, breaking records. They got Baker Mayfield in there. They can't afford to pass the ball 50 times a game. So they're really going to need to rely on the run. This is White's team until he loses it, if he loses it. And that's something that you want in fantasy football. You want a running back that you could get that you're like, this for sure is the starter. He is going to get the carries. He can catch. I do like that, and I want him on my team. Maybe not early. I would not get him early, but I would definitely try to target him later to put him on my team.
So, Jason, Baker Mayfield takes dumps, right? He takes dumps all over the place. He dumps. He'll take a dump wherever he wants. A lot of that's going to be to the running back this next year. Rachaad White, 50 receptions and 58 targets. When I saw 58 targets and 50 receptions, I was like, dude, I got to look this up. That was 5th highest catch rate in the league, between of all positions. So for the most part, Rachaad White catches anything thrown at him, and he's going to get a lot of bad throws next year from Mr. Baker Mayfield. So yeah, he didn't really prove anything on the ground last year. 129 carries. So, at least they didn't overwork him. You're not worried about him being overworked. But he only averaged 3.7 yards per carry with those, and only had 1 rushing touchdown. So he had 2 receiving touchdowns. So he's much more of a receiving back. But with Baker Mayfield, man, I know, dude, I should shut up because I remember everybody in the Carolina being like, "You have Christian McCaffrey, dude. Just dump it off to Christian McCaffrey," and he never did. But for some reason, I don't know why I think of him in Tampa Bay just dumping off. I just see him being screwed. Even though Tampa Bay just invested in that offensive lineman that I like from North Dakota. He's that redheaded dude with no front teeth.
Oh, that's who they got? I know who you're talking about.
I was going to say that last time we did this. This is second take, guys. We're a one-take crew, but we're trying something new. We didn't record. I was an idiot, and I didn't.
No. But I know who you're talking about because they showed a picture of his freshman year and his senior year, and it looked like he aged 20 years.
Dude, he's been coming up on. He's like, this is what college will do to you. It's he's on Facebook. I swear to God, I go on Facebook for marketplace only. I'm not a social media person. Man, dude, there was something funny I did last video, and I was like, I forgot what that was. But anyways, people, yeah, I forgot what I was talking about. Baker Mayfield, I talk about him dumping a lot off to Rachaad White. I should shut up because I actually don't think that's going to happen because that was a huge problem with him in Carolina. And he has weapons on the outside. But I do believe in Rachaad White regardless. I need to, it's funny how I can just get to a certain non-sober point and have clarity about these things. Because I was like, dude, I bet you, no, I remember people being upset about that. And that was a thing that Baker Mayfield does not want to take the easy route. He's throwing contested crap. So it's actually good about that. So Rachaad White, I still think is a winner solely based on them not drafting a replacement. But yeah, so I think, and he was a breakout candidate last year. Now he's a second year, 23 years old. I think he's actually going to be well worth his draft place in the, what I say it was, 5th round or something.
I don't think you said it.
It is. Oh, dude. Who am I looking at? Oh, Rachaad White. He's on the 6-7 turn.
Yeah.
And I think by the end of this, he'll probably be a 5th round pick. But if he's going in the 6th round, you better pick him up.
Yeah. I would definitely want to have that guy at that time. I'm good with it. Put that guy on my team. This guy's going to probably touch the ball around 20, 25 times a game, rushing or passing, hopefully. I'm all for it. Let's do it. Cha-cha!
Ki. All right, Jason, let's get into the sinkers. You know, the ones sometimes you think you relieve yourself and you look down and there's nothing there because there's real sinkers.
Before you become a sinker, you do got to float one more time with little Tony Pollard before we become that sinker.
I never went over Tony Pollard, Jason.
Nope.
Oh my God, that isn't. I was wondering why we were so fast. All right.
I thought we were doing a new order.
I was like, dude, oh my God. Well, there you go, Jason. Tony Pollard, Jason, 25 years old, 193 carries last year, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5.2 yards per average, which was 3rd in the NFL for running backs. Now he gets to the gig to himself. You are the Cowboys fan. How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty good about this. Ezekiel Elliott, you know, he did well for us, but I think it's been a couple years where I'm like, maybe it's time we start investing somewhere else. You know, he had a huge rookie year, which was awesome. Second year was awesome, but when he got paid, it just wasn't the same. Looks like he lost some speed, but then we got Tony Pollard, who could run the ball. He got explosiveness times 99. I like this dude. Was eventually able to work his way up. Was sharing time with Ezekiel Elliott. There was even a few times last year where he started like 3 or 4 games and just straight up killed it. So he, 2022 was a breakout season for Tony, but it was like Ezekiel Elliott's there. No, not anymore. Ezekiel Elliott is gone. He's released. So we're like, what are we going to do? We're going to have to draft somebody. I heard so many rumors that there's a possibility that Cowboys are going to make a jump and get Bijan Robinson, just like what they did with Ezekiel Elliott, get him super early. Didn't happen. They actually didn't draft a running back to round 6. Deuce Vaughn, I want to say his name is. So they didn't draft a top tier running back. Didn't happen. So this guy is in the clear running to be the number 1 to get majority of the carries. This dude could catch the ball, majority of the catches for an offensive line that was 7th in rushing, or for a team that was 7th in rushing attempts last year, 9th in rushing yards last year, and 3rd in rushing touchdowns. Also, Mike McCarthy is also saying he wants to slow down the offense so the defense can get a break. And then they got the new offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer, who he's a running guy. He wants to run the ball. I do think Deuce is going to probably take a couple of rushes, a couple of passing from him, but nothing to worry about. I think if he stays healthy, and he is healthy all season, comes back healthy, we'll see how it is in preseason training camp. Tony Pollard was a winner in this offseason / draft.
Yeah, so like him and Rashaad, were the most sensitive situations in fantasy football for the most part. We were waiting on the draft to see how who these guys were going to compete with. Also, Dameon Pierce, and that could be considered like an honorable mention or whatever. But those were like the top 3 running back situations. But I think that Rachaad White is the more impactful, because I don't know if Houston's going to turn that thing around anytime soon. Maybe next year when they get Caleb Williams or whatever. JK, LOL. So yeah. Anyways, who was I talking about? Oh, Tony Pollard, dude. I think that Deuce Bigelow is going to be Tony Pollard. What Tony Pollard was to Ezekiel Elliott when Ezekiel Elliott was good. And Tony Pollard has that potential that Ezekiel Elliott was amazing, dude, for like 2-3 years. Tony Pollard has that potential, and then I think that Deuce Bigelow will just come in and clean the fish tanks or whatever every once in a while. So, can I get the snails on the bottom, please? On the very bottom. Do you know what I'm talking about, Jason?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like I said, dude, Tony Pollard is kind of like in this Michael Turner situation where Michael Turner was, if you remember, if you've been playing long enough, what was he back up for the Chargers, Jason?
Yeah, behind LT.
Yeah, and then I told Jason to draft him all year. I was like, Jason, you got to draft this guy, man. You got to draft
Oh,
this
don't stop.
guy.
I'm getting angry now.
Then I drafted him, and he got really mad because he's like, man, I've been talking about him all the time. So, anyways, and then he went to Atlanta and got his full time gig, and just killed it. He was like the number one fantasy running back in football that season. Tony Pollard has that opportunity, dude, to be on the Cowboys. Their offensive line, Tyson Smith or whatever was pretty good last year. So yeah. Anyways, Tony Pollard is the last of our floaters, Jason. They float to the top, and they might keep on going until they keep on going.
Then you gotta call in a plunger. The plumbers, and the plumber.
Don't ever let Jason go to your sister's house and take a dump because he'll clog it and then he'll leave.
When your friend was supposed to blame it on his other friend, but then he told them it was me, and I didn't see Tyler's family.
Your name should be Big Turd.
I don't do big turds. I do like 100 little small ones, like. All right. So we're in the losers now?
Yeah.
Okay, Courtland Sutton. So this kind of starts off with the Broncos picking up Jerry Jeudy's fifth-year options, which shows they are very invested in this guy. They like him. They want to keep him on the team. The end of last year, Courtland, the last 6 games, had 23 receptions, 36 targets, 296 yards, and 1 touchdown, while Jerry Jeudy had 37 receptions on 45 targets, 523 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So it looked like towards the end of the year, I don't know if it's just because Jerry Jeudy was more comfortable in the system or Russell Wilson trusted Jerry Jeudy more, but it looked like they were favoring him more towards the end of the year, and kind of Courtland Sutton was getting like the nod, kind of like step back, while Jerry Jeudy became like more of like a number one. But then with the first pick that the Broncos made in the 2023 draft, they drafted wide receiver Marvin Mims, not Sims, not the game, but Mims from Oklahoma in the second round. That was their first pick. So the first pick, they went after a wide receiver. And Marvin's 40 time was 4.38. So the dude's quick and he could jump. He's 39. He could jump 39 inches. That's his vertical. So
he's 39?
He's 39 and he's a junior in Oklahoma, and he just got drafted to the Broncos. But yeah, so it's just kind of seeing this like towards the end of the year that he was kind of turning into the number 2 wide receiver on the team, and then they go ahead and like show that they're investing in Jeudy, picking up his 5th-year option, and then they go out and draft a wide receiver. That's going to be even less potential, less opportunity for Courtland Sutton to really have an impact in fantasy. Like his value, it must drop in the draft, in the fantasy football draft.
Well, first off, I do want to say, dude, that Marvin Mims is like, 5'11", 177 pounds. But we saw a really great rapport with Jerry Jeudy and Russell Wilson last year. So I really do believe in Jerry Jeudy. And the thing is about, I think about who's that one huge guy? Marquise
Colston.
Marquise Colston. I keep on thinking about him for Sean Payton and Courtland Sutton. So like I've actually been drafting Courtland Sutton in all my mock drafts before the NFL draft. And that's coming from a Courtland Sutton hater because I owned him last year and he just was terrible, dude. He was terrible. I couldn't even start him. I couldn't even trade him. I tried to trade him for everything, and nobody would even wants him. So I've got, even with a bad taste in my mouth, I saw Sean Payton going here, and I thought of Marquise Colston and all that kind of stuff. But then I saw, they drafted Marvin Mims, and I'm just like, dude, I don't even want in on Marquise Colston, or not Marquise Colston, on Courtland Sutton. He had 64 receptions on 100. He had 109 targets last year, Jason. So like, I remember like watching the games and I'm like, oh my God, dude, he throws to this guy so much, but they have no rapport. They have zero rapport. And 58% catch rate on that. I tried to go to the list and be like, oh, he's like 78th or something. No, dude, he's not even top 100 on that list. So who knows? He could be 200. I don't know.
Dang.
He's never had more than 6 touchdowns in a season, Jason. And now you get a top flight wide receiver picked by, like, I can't tell you the last time that Sean Payton picked a wide receiver in the top, 2 rounds. So it just kind of trips me out. And
let alone
everything I've read. What'd you say?
So let alone their first pick of the draft.
That's exactly what I'm. Yeah. So like, according to him, that's his first need. And everything I've read about Sean Payton is like he'll get wide receivers out of nowhere. Well, he liked this guy so much that he's spent a second round pick on him. But I think that he realizes that he does not have a he doesn't have a Drew Brees. He's got kind of a turd right now that he's trying to polish.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got to give this guy as much help as he can get. So that was my kind of feelings off of that.
Do you happen to know where Sutton's going right now in the fantasy draft?
That's a good point, Jason. I'm glad somebody must have spoke to you before this. Courtland Sutton is going. I don't even know. 1 second. I've got DeAndre Swift, Rashaad Penny. Which one's Courtland Sutton, dude? Tony Pollard. I'm so sorry, guys. This is terrible.
Because it's probably not even like anywhere close, or it shouldn't be.
It's round 10.
I mean, round 10. I can see that. Round 10. Take a chance on Courtland Sutton around round 10.
Yeah, it's a 9-10 turn.
Yep.
My bad. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Jay. I've been drinking. I'm sorry.
The beer time breakdown. The beer time breakdown.
I was trying to see, like, can you see all the cracks in my phone?
You showed the front of your phone, so I was
well, it's opposite, man, on camera. I'm like, what? I'm all showing it the back, expecting the front, because I'm like, it's opposite on camera.
Oh, man.
Somebody just okay, here we go, Jason.
All right.
Number 2. This guy literally would have been the number 1 most efficient rusher in the NFL last year had he been healthy, because he was averaging 6.1 yards per carry. Then he broke both legs and had to crawl off the field. Rashaad Penny, Jason.
Help me. Coach, I need some tape. Tape up my ankle. Just put some tape on it. Yeah, so okay. The Philadelphia Eagles, they didn't re-sign Miles Sanders. He went to the Carolina Panthers. So they went out looking for somebody in free agency, and they picked up Rashaad Penny. And which is one of those situations where it's like, okay, he's going to be most likely the guy now. He's going to be the number 1 running back in that system. Is he going to put up numbers like Miles Sanders? I definitely think he has the potential, but with his history, I don't think it would happen. But still, it was something that was like, okay, he might get injured, but there's still a possibility of taking a risk on this guy and see what we could do. Well, then the Philadelphia Eagles, they wanted another Georgia player on their team, so they went out and traded for DeAndre Swift. And that's so that's 4 running backs back there, and they traded for this guy. So they want to use them. So now Penny's going to be sharing in carries with DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, and Jalen Hurts. And so now basically it's like there's too much in there. There's only 1 football. There's 5 runners on the team. I think his fantasy value is definitely got to drop. And then, he has a history of injuries, and he just cannot stay healthy and finish out a year. you're thinking that too, or if he does finish this year, you think they're just not going to use him enough, and his fantasy points are going to be pretty low. Also, just to throw it out there, that the Eagles line they had a pretty good line last year, but they did lose their guard Isaiah Simalo Simalo to the Steelers. So I don't think it's going to make much difference, but I just want to throw it in there. But there's just too many pieces. There's too many runners in the backfield. There's not enough football.
So yeah, dude, I was super pumped for Rashaad Penny. I was like, man, the Eagles are trying to, save. They just invested in Jalen Hurts. I don't want him running as much because he runs just as much as a running back, pretty much. Eagles had the number one offensive line. They've got, Kelsey coming back, Lane Johnson coming back. And this guy was so number one offensive line and the number one most efficient runner. I was like, dude, and this guy's huge. 27 years old. And then the DeAndre Swift trade happened. If because DeAndre Swift, as much as I think that he is not going to last the whole year, he is so good when people use him. And he was on a top 5 offensive line last year. So he's going to have you're going to see the same DeAndre Swift as you saw last season. But now he's just going to be on a much better team with a lot more scoring opportunities and, that kind of stuff. So, well, I shouldn't say more scoring opportunities, Jason, because the Lions were top, I can't take away anything from the Lions last year. So if you know what DeAndre Swift can do when he's healthy, that's all I should say. And then Rashaad Penny is going to be, I think he's worth drafting in an NFL draft or in the fantasy mock draft. But oh shoot,
I agree. He's got to be a guy they got to keep a watch on, right? I mean, one injury to any of these running backs, quarterback, could benefit these runners.
Well, Jason, what do you think about DeAndre Swift, man? He's going on the 5-6 turn. So between he's going right after James Conner, Alvin Kamara, right after Alvin Kamara, right before Javonte Williams. Who would you rather have, man? Javonte Williams or DeAndre Swift?
I am not a DeAndre Swift believer. I do not. Tyler, he has the potential to be a great running back. He cannot show it because he's always sidelined.
See, what I'd rather do, what you just said, man. I would rather have Alvin. I would rather have all those people over him. I would much rather wait and draft Rashaad Penny, and then just gamble because it's literally like a 50-50. It's probably a flip of the coin.
Yeah. The Lions lost trust in him. That's why they went out and got Jahmyr Gibbs and traded this guy away. They had no faith in him and staying healthy. I don't think they denied his talent, but you looked at him the wrong way and his knees would cripple. It's unfortunate that it's like that, but it is what it is. So I am not a believer in Swift, so I would pass on him, and I would be happier by getting Penny.
Where would you get Penny? What round do you think Penny's going?
Dude, let's get him back there with Sutton. And the reason this goes into the next sinker that we have, but Penny's not going to produce the way that Miles Sanders did last year, right? But Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, he had 13 rushing touchdowns last year at the goal line. That is 13 touchdowns taken away from Penny. And it's just, I don't like that, right? I don't like how involved the quarterback is. So I would pick him late, also due to his injuries. So I'd put him 10-11. 10-11.
Yeah. So he's still, he's going in the 12th right now.
Yeah.
And so I was like, dude. Yeah, I mean, he's going right before Ezekiel Elliott, who's undrafted, and right behind Raheem Mostert. So I'd probably I don't know who, that's probably good. Who would I rather have, Raheem Mostert or, they're kind of in similar situations, both great running teams with a whole committee, so I don't know.
I think I'd rather have Penny at that point. I'd rather have him.
Dude, Penny, man, he's been waiting to break out since he got in the league. But when he plays and he's healthy, he's so good.
Yeah. And Mostert, I think he's turning 31, 32 this year. I think he's over 30.
Oh, I know, dude. But it's just, if you've been playing fantasy football long enough, you're just kind of addicted to Mostert. He's a drug you got to take. It's like,
Yep.
have you ever had Mostert for a half?
I
I'm
chased the
chasing
mood.
that high, man. I'm chasing that high. I could add 100 points from one player. Woo! But then he broke both legs and had to crawl off the field before halftime.
Yeah, well, like, coach, just put me back out there. Put me back out there.
Jason.
He's good until then. Yes, sir.
So, number one running back last year. We're gonna say he's a sinker because we like it when pocket passers are with this dude. Jonathan Taylor, Jason. He's only 23 years old.
He's still a young buck. Still a young buck. Yeah, he had the very disappointing season last year. Injuries was a part of it. The offensive line was a part of it. He's young. The way he's built, he's a great runner. They're not going to try to replace him, but they always try to get somebody to take away some of his carries. To go to split carries. So the draft is like very important coming up. I think they did draft like 2 offensive tackles. I think one in the 4th round and another one in maybe the 6th, 7th round. Which is good because they're going to try to help get that line back up to elite status. But the first thing was their first pick was they drafted that big boy Anthony Richardson. And with my comparison, I comped him to Cam Newton. And what is Cam Newton famous for? When he's down in the 5-yard line, just watch out because he's going to bulldoze those linebackers over and score a touchdown. Out of the 3 years Jonathan Taylor has been in the NFL league, he has 36 total touchdowns. But the most important stat of that is that 24 of those touchdowns are within the 10-yard line, and 15 of those 24 are within the 3 yards. And they're going to be giving the ball to the quarterback, to Anthony, to maybe do just like some quarterback runs, some quarterback plays to get in those touchdowns, to take those, to vulture those from Jonathan Taylor. Part of the reason why I say that is because now their new head coach, Shane Steichen, he was offensive coordinator for the Eagles. We saw what happened last year with Jalen Hurts. He likes to get the quarterback involved around the goal line, where Jalen Hurts had 13 rushing touchdowns last year. So that's going to hurt Jonathan Taylor fantasy-wise.
Yeah, because, you just think about running backs in the Eagles, like, oh, yeah, Miles Sanders was good, but no, not that great, dude. He wasn't that reliable. He'd have great games, bad games, so it was pretty inconsistent there. Yeah. And then you look at, AR-15, dude. 9 touchdowns last college season, rushing touchdowns. That's the same as Deuce Vaughn, so it's like them getting Deuce Vaughn, 1 less than Tank Bigsby. So he averaged 8.6 attempts per game last season, rushing attempts, which is kind of a lot. And then he has had rushing touchdowns of 45 yards, 60 yards, 73 yards, 80 yards, and 81 yards over the last 2 seasons. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I can just see them using, and he can't throw well. So it's like, what are this guy's strengths? He's going to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. He's going to even miss John. This is probably going to be a negative for Jonathan Taylor too, because, he just went from Matt Ryan just dumping the ball off to this guy who like literally can't hit a dump off. So like, not only is he going to take touchdowns away from him and rushing yards away from him, he's not going to even be able to hit him in the flat. So yeah, as far as sinkers go, this guy is one of those. He's going to be one of those ghost turds that you can't even see, dude. You think he pooped? He sunk all the way down those tubes. Like you look down, you're like, did I even do it? Don't even flush. I just saved myself a gallon of water.
Don't even have to wipe. It was all in my head.
In my head. Devin Brinsfield, that one's for you.
Yeah, Todd, I was going to say, you're hitting it right on the nose there. The other thing is, like, Anthony Richardson, his accuracy was awful. What it's like, there might be there's most likely going to be less scoring opportunities because of the quarterback his first year than there were last year. So that's also, and then the quarterback, and then the opportunities are going to be there. Anthony's going to take half of them from Jonathan Taylor. So yeah, he's definitely a thinker.
Anthony Richardson had 2 100-yard plus games last year rushing. So, I think they only play like 12 games.
Yeah.
It's just, there's going to be a lot of games where it's not going to be a Jonathan Taylor game. It's going to be an Anthony Richardson game,
Yep.
Which is, bad for Jonathan Taylor. So we'll see. I mean, he's still worth a late second. I think he's going right now. He's going early second round, mid second. We just talked about him going between whoever we were talking about earlier. Who I can't
Pollard,
remember.
right? Yeah,
Tony Pollard. He's going right. He's going right above Tony Pollard and Chubb. And who would you rather have, Jason? Chubb or Jonathan Taylor? Because I'd rather have Chubb.
Chubb.
Dude, Chubb is like 20. I know that Chubb is a little bit older, but I'd still rather have Chubb. Yeah, I mean, I hate Deshaun Watson with a passion, but I mean, if you give me a choice between those two, I'd much rather have Deshaun Watson. So, anyways, people, it's a 40-minute episode, 40 plus. And we're trying a new thing here. We're not doing Zoom. We're doing Riverside. So let us know if you like this, Yeah. Also, if you've made it this far, tell us what we need to do to continue. Tell us what our strengths and our weaknesses are, so we can just remove the weaknesses and just focus on our strengths, please.
My strength is that I care too much. My weakness is that I care too much.
What's that off of, Jason?
I just made that up. I don't know. I actually said that in an interview. I did an interview.
Michael Scott.
I did an interview for Foot Locker when I was a young lad, and they said, "What's your weakness?" I was like, "I don't have any. I'm Superman." I didn't get the job.
I always say, I don't know the area, and it would take me a while to learn the area.
This is before GPS, so it's like, yeah, we had to learn the area. We had to learn the area, people. Come on, we had to learn the area.
All right, people. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back. If you do not see a lot of shorts from us, it's because we're experimenting, because we have not gotten a subscriber in so long. Maybe we're overwhelming you with some shorts. Yeah. So, maybe fewer the better. Let us know what you think about that too. So, anyways, we will catch you on the flip side.
Goodbye. May the 4th be with you.